This is our Wednesday night channeling, number 259. Let's have a quiet time before we start. As we close our eyes and relax our body, let our minds be at peace, and bring your full attention to this moment and to this place. Think of this circle as a circle of light, and this light's getting brighter and brighter and reaching upward in frequency to the higher consciousness. And those beings on the divine love and light are reaching down to meet us as we reach up to make the contact. There are many disembodied entities here who come to learn just as you have. May not have gotten the chance to be in something like this when they're in the physical. As we throw out the light like this, we attract many. And let's send love to all the invisibles in the room, all those in darkness everywhere. Let's fill this room to overflowing with God's divine love. Let's send love into the contact and realize that each one here is as much part of the contact as the one who speaks, because you're lending your life force to this circle of light. Thank you, Father. For those who are new, there's an article on sending divine love. Pick up before you go over here by the door. It's a technique that Ella taught us, our teacher, many years ago. And I usually start by writing a little bit, and that gets the channeling going. Our title tonight is called Integrity. As we think of the word integrity, we think of moral code of values. Your word interpreters also say an unimparted condition, the quality or state of being complete or undivided. We see that integrity relates to the word integration, or at one with all life, or all life is one. As we learn to accept that you and I and all life is the body of God, we can relate to each other and all life in love, with divine love. To be at peace with yourself is to be at peace with life. To love yourself is to love God and all his expressions of life in all of life. As you integrate yourself on all dimensions of your being, is to be at one in thought with all life that is God. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don. It is a joy to be with you, and it is my pleasure to be your doorkeeper and drop in and say hello to you, even though someone else is taking the lesson tonight. You are a bright, shining light. Use your inner image and think of yourself. Your circle of light is bright and shiny, and send God's love into the channeling. Eloah is here and will give the lesson, a release to him. God bless you, my dear ones. I am here to be with you in spirit and in love. It is indeed a beautiful evening, a beautiful gathering of souls who are here in one accord. When you come together in one accord, you do throw out a psychic light, as you might think of it, a spiritual light, and it reaches out and out. There are many, many on the dark realms who are there because some of them are confused and because some of them wish to be there. But your light is bright and shiny and does attract many of the balcony people who come to learn as you have. Our class tonight is an interesting one, and when Donald received the title, he was asked to look in the dictionary, and he was surprised to find that integrity means much more than just moral code or ethics. It comes together with the meaning, even with your word interpreters, as bringing together the oneness of all life, because life is one. There is no division in life. There is no you or I. You have brought down from the Godhead when you left home and created many dimensions and to have many experiences, but you are one with God, and God is all that life is, or I should say all of life is God. There's nothing in life but the Creator you call God. Man has created, been given the privilege of free will and the ability to create as God had created. And on these lower dimensions, man has created many things that are not eternal and that we call illusion because they're not everlasting. As you think of integrity, ask yourself, how much do you feel at one with the family of life? And we're not speaking of just your relatives. We're speaking with the family of all life and the whole of life in the whole universe. There are billions and billions and trillions of entities on billions of planets, on many, many dimensions that your numbers could not even begin to count. God is abundant in his creation, and life is ever expanding and bursting into more of itself. God is growing just as you are growing, for he is growing through his expressions. When we talk of duality, it is the thing that keeps you to the lower dimensions, the belief in good and evil, time and space, and so forth. This is illusion also, and is the thing, the concept that you took when you left the Father's house. When I say you left the Father's house is an incorrect statement, for you are always one with God, but you took on thoughts separate from God and started thinking on your own and creating on your own. For thoughts is a creative force, and whatever you think, you create. Your life is whatever you have thought it to be, and especially your thinking patterns. As you think of integrity, how do you think about yourself? Are you integrated into the total of your being? Very few on your plane are. You are a multidimensional being. You have many dimensions that you are expressing on at this moment, and the physical is the least of the communication. The physical plane is of the lower levels, and you are on your way back home to what your Bible says called the Garden of Eden, and many other cultures, Bible or whatever they call it, has different names for it. I think Buddha called it the consciousness of bliss. It is an understanding of what life is truly all about. Life as you experience it from the physical level is not the reality of life. It is an illusion. And when I say this, some think, well, this chair I'm sitting on seems to be real. Yes, you created it for your comfort. You created many things like your automobile and other things for your convenience. Everything that is created, your television, your radio, is also inside of you. When you become the master of yourself, you need not have a television or radio, because those are within you, and you can see clearly at a distance, or you can hear clearly at a distance. All of these things that you have created in the physical is an outward expression of the inner reality of your being. As you learn to understand this and grow in consciousness by building your foundation, your inner foundation strong and solid with the understanding of the laws of life, you move into that higher consciousness, that higher place that is within you, where God dwells, for He is the life force that you are. When you understand this, and know that you are brother and sister with all in the whole of life, no matter how they are expressing life at this time, no matter what experiences they are having, you are one with them. As you realize this, you learn to love all of life. You begin by learning to love yourself. For if you do not love yourself, you cannot love any other, or even God. For it is the one life, and it is all within you. The outer physical is less than 2% of the reality of life, and it is not the reality of life. But you have created it for your experiences that you wish to experience. The Father has given you the freedom, and He does not judge you or condemn you for anything that you have done or anyone else. He only loves you. This is a big mistake that some of the churches have made, and they have propagated it to keep control of the people in their congregation. They work through fear, dear ones, and in true reality there is nothing to fear, for there is no death. All fears are traceable to the fear of death or lack, and life is abundant everywhere present, no matter what it appears to be on your physical plane. I tell you that when you have integrity, you have oneness with all life. When you have integrity, you love all of life. You are being honest with yourself. You are being honest with God, for there is no duality. When you eliminate this concept of duality from your consciousness, then you free yourself from these lower dimensions and move upward in consciousness and frequency to a much higher level. This is the only thing that keeps you earthbound or keeps you to these lower dimensions. You see, fear is the great pester that you have allowed yourself to engage in. Let me expound on this a little bit and see if you can identify with it. In the movies, there's always the good guys and the bad guys, and this is what makes it interesting to you. And why does it make it interesting? I tell you, when you, I noticed on your plane that the horror movies are more popular now, and you like to frighten yourself. And the adventure movies with all the violence. And what does this do when you watch it and get involved in it? It brings adrenaline, does it not? And the adrenaline can be addictive, my dear one. The adrenaline can be addictive. And so when you think of your entertainment that you use on this plane, a large part of it is negative, it is fear-filled, and it is illusion. And so how would you be entertained other than this? You first would need to break the addiction of the adrenaline rush that you get from these different things. This is an unconscious thing for most individuals. And most in this room, this is a new idea, that it is true nevertheless. When you understand the true reality of life, above and beyond the physical, above and beyond the lower dimensions, you move in to a consciousness that Buddha called bliss, that some others call other names, but it is something that is peaceful and joyful and beautiful, way beyond compare of anything that you have on your plane. How do you get there? You get there by giving up. Donald often says that first step toward any accomplishment is giving up. And that means giving up the old patterns of thinking, and bringing in the new ones. The old patterns that brings the adrenaline, the old patterns that helps you to be sad or to be happy. See, to be happy, you first have to be sad. That's another duality concept. And in true reality, there is no sadness or happiness, either one. It is just something that you have invented on these lower dimensions of playing a game with yourselves. And it's an interesting game, and you have been given the freedom to play it as long as you choose. If you choose to have a higher consciousness, it is necessary to replace these old games with something new. You cannot just take them away from yourself, because that would leave an empty void, and life adheres a void. Something will come in, and it may be worse than what you took away. So you replace it with divine love. My dear ones, divine love, God's love, is the key to all things. when you understand what love truly is, and it has very little to do with what you think of as physical love, it has to do with the love that God is, with the love that you are created from. For everything in creation is created out of the substance of divine love. As you realize this and know this, then you can relate to life in a much higher way of integrity, integrating yourself into the higher parts of your being, bringing that higher self, that self of you that is God, down into your conscious awareness. This is the plan that Donald has in his programs he works with, to start you out slowly and move you upward in consciousness, to bring this down, this higher understanding, so that you can use it in your everyday living. It is not easy, my dear ones, for you have been playing these games for many, many, many lifetimes and many years in your thinking. But you are created in the image and likeness of God, so you have the power that God is. And anything that you are determined to do, you can do through divine love, not with your physical self, not with your personality or your persona. This is illusion, and it has no power. But through God's love and the eternal laws of life, you can accomplish all things. This is what life is all about, is moving forward, reaching higher. And I tell you, it will never end. There will always be something more to learn throughout eternity that has no end. There will always be something more to expand into, something greater to experience on a much higher level than where you are now. As you think of life, most of the time you think of just this physical 5 sense world, because this is where you are, and you have to support the physical and play all the games that are going on here, because you've got yourself stuck in a rut. And as you decide you want something better, then you can have it, but you have to earn it. And you earn it by learning to re-educate yourself, and especially on the subconscious level, for this is where the memory banks are. This is where your habit patterns of thinking are. And as long as your subconscious, that has no reason or logic, or very little, has control of your life through these patterns, you have very little chance of moving forward or getting conscious control of yourself to become the master of yourself. So this is where you do begin. As you learn that this is the place to work with yourself, you cannot change others. So much time is wasted in trying to change other people to suit your needs, but change yourself you can, because you have dominion over yourself, but not over others. You have dominion over this planet and all the universe, but first you have to have dominion over yourself. And this starts with a habit pattern for thinking. And divine love is the key to bring about this change. But you have to know what divine love is. As you learn that divine love is honesty, humility, generosity, kindness, all these attributes that God is, and then you incorporate them into your thinking and into your everyday life, into your every thought, word, and deed, then you become the master of your mind and your thinking. And as this happens, your frequency changes even in your physical body. Your frequency in your mind then moves upward into the spiritual being that you truly are. You are no more your body than you are your automobile you drove here. You're no more your mind than you are your house you live in. You are a point of consciousness as one with the overall consciousness of all life, as some call God. The spiritual entity that you are is at one with all life. When you know this, then you can tune in to all of life, just as you tune in your radio to different stations and your television. You can tune within yourself even to another planet or another galaxy. This may sound far out to you, but it is true because there is no division, there is no separation. You are one with all that is. As you learn to understand this, and as you learn to give up the old patterns and incorporate the new patterns in your thinking, because life force follows thought. Whatever you give thought to, you give life to. In other words, thought is the creator. Whatever you think, my dear ones, and what you have thought is made your life what it is now. And if you do not like it, then change your thinking, especially your thinking patterns. Your random thoughts, yes, but your thinking pattern controls your life. And this is on the unconscious, some call it the unconscious level, because from the subconscious you've learned to write, you've learned to drive, and type and many other things, and you do it automatically, and it's more or less an unconscious thing that you do. There are many other patterns that are negative and destructive that are there. You're going through without being consciously aware of them. And this is the self-awareness part, becoming aware of your total being, becoming aware of the reality of your being, not just going around like a robot. Well, you see, the subconscious can and does lead you around by the nose much of the time. I am speaking mostly of the masses on this plane, and not especially of those in this circle, because you've come here to learn, and many of you have learned much. Many of you have gained some freedom from the little self, the subconscious, and the old habit patterns. There's much yet to do, and of course there always will be. And this is the joy of life. This is the beauty of life, that there will always be something new to experience. Something beautiful, something wonderful awaits you as you give up the old. But as long as you hold on to the old, then the new cannot come in. But when you do turn loose of the old, then new doors open to you. You give up the old and one door opens, and this one door leads to two doors, and the two doors leads to four, and so on. And it moves out in expansion and awareness, and your awareness increases. You become much more aware of life, but you first have to become aware of yourself and what you're doing and how you are going about in a destructive way, much more than you would choose to. Let us pause here and give you a chance to ask questions or make comments. about the class or something that you're interested in.
Because after attending the classes here, I've totally changed my viewing habits from the TV, movies, and I no longer enjoy violence. It's really repulsive to me. And I've found myself, I couldn't believe that myself was like that. And my real self is coming out and it's stopping that.
Yeah. Your values change, and that part of integrity is integrating with that other part of yourself that knows the reality of life. The habit of being entertained through violence and through the adrenaline rush, it does not have to come with drugs. It comes with many other things. And just the pattern of being sad and then being happy is a pattern that many go through. And they feel that they have to be sad so they can be happy, or at least the subconscious does. And it's been programmed in that way sometimes without your consciously being aware of it. There's much on the subconscious level that is not known to the conscious mind. And this is why the self-awareness is so important. Are there other thoughts or questions this evening? Feel free to be at one and be a part of the discussion this evening.
It seems to me that once we break loose in the lower realms, then we can do anything that we can imagine. Is that true?
You can do anything that you can imagine now. You're inventors. That's where they invent new things, and you have this kind of quality within you. Have you invented something in this incarnation?
Different things.
You have this nature, yes. And, we do it the hard way on the physical plane. That when you become the master, then you can bring it forth and materialize it instantly without going through the process of elimination and so forth. But everything is open and available to you. This saying, all things are possible to those who can believe. And as you learn to believe in yourself and believe that you are one with all life and one with God, and that God never judges you, he just loves you, then you open the doors to these other realms, even while you're in the physical. Was there something else that you wanted to say about this? Rick, I think you're there.
I can't think of it right now. Maybe. Then you could just comment.
The class Time Travel has a couple of classes in it about bringing forth creativity and talents from the past. In other lifetimes, you've done many, many things and many experiences, and these things can be brought forth into your memory when the way is cleared, when you believe that you can, and when you desire to. You see, desire is one of the strongest forms of prayer, and everything that you desire is going to come to you at some time. So if you desire destructive things, then that will come. If you desire constructive, loving things, that is what your life will be like. Are there other thoughts or questions? There are thoughts and questions in the circle tonight. Please open up and feel free to communicate. As you come together in a group like this, you bring the oneness of life to yourself much easier when you can feel relaxed and at peace and at one with each other. And as you open your channel to the higher self and allow the light to come down into your conscious awareness, then you can accomplish many things. We come together on these weekly meetings to be with you in spirit and to bring the divine truth to you as we understand it from our level of consciousness. As you grow through the things that you learn, through the experiences that you have, then do you open yourself to the higher dimensions. Allow this to happen much more and believe that it is possible for you. As you practice reaching inward, instead of just living an outer world, take some time each day to reach within, because this is the reality of life, and allow yourself to bring forth much more wisdom and power and ability. It is all there waiting for you. The whole kingdom of God is held out to you at all times, and all you need to do is reach out and take it. Why do you not do this? Because you're so entangled with the physical concept of duality and the illusions of the lower realms, and you feel limited. You think of yourself as limited to this physical shell you wear and to the hang-ups of your mind. You are not, my dear ones, and the true reality of this is that at any time you could truly understand and believe, you could walk off and leave all the so-called karma behind at any moment. This is not binding to you unless you bring it forth. And you do bring it forth on the subconscious level. Many of you have different concepts of what karma means. Karma is a Sanskrit word that means cause and effect. And this, of course, is another duality. And so as long as you believe in karma, then you are bound by it. But when you give up this belief, truly give it up, you cannot just cast it out. You have to replace it with a higher belief, the belief in God's love, which is all forgiving, all wise, and all understanding. And I use the word forgiving in the wrong way, but God does not judge you in the first place, so there's nothing to forgive. You do things that you think that are bad, or in your past lives you maybe think that you have done something that is evil. I tell you, it is just experience. And when you can understand this, then you can give up the guilt and self-condemnation. These are very destructive things to you and hold you down. There's nothing to be guilty about. Life is, period. God is. You are. I am. When you understand this and raise your consciousness to this level and release the old concepts, then can you be free. But as long as you hold on to them, not just consciously, but on the subconscious level too, that all has to be cleaned out. Cleaning house is a very important thing in your soul's growth. And those of you who have gone through many classes and many places, still you need to keep cleaning house. Are there other thoughts or questions this evening? When you bring forth the question, you stir into life the spirit of wisdom and help to generate the life force to bring about different answers. When you withhold that which you would ask, then you cheat yourself in a sense, because they're all here, all the answers are here. And when you bring forth a question, this brings up something else, and maybe someone else next to you would like to have asked that question or something similar. And that leads on to something else. But when you just allow the one individual, or maybe 2 or 3 others to speak, you withhold the life force, and you withhold the things that you would know.
You spoke about taste in the media, television, radio, and how it will change. What do we do about the bombardment through the day, the radio that's playing at the office that you can't change, the television that's running from a roommate, the negative bombardment that comes in? What's the best way we can protect ourselves from that?
There are situations where you are bombarded, yes, in your offices and with negativity and the ads that go on telling you how sick you are and you need to buy this product and that. Yes. And even on the phone, when they put you on hold, they put something on the radio sometime or some negative music. The protection, your protection is your motive. Now this may sound not sound strange to you, but your motive in being, your motive is your protection, and your motives attract certain things to you. When you understand who you are, you can turn these things off without letting them in. I know that it is difficult sometimes, and it is difficult for you to concentrate. Let me give you an example that Donald has given about a certain teacher who taught meditation in New York many years ago, Joel Goldberg. He said that he would practice meditation even driving down the street when he came to a stop sign. And he said you didn't need to worry, because when the light changed, someone would honk and you'd go on. And then he also went to Grand Central Station, as it was at that time, and he would sit in the middle of Grand Central Station and practice going within and turning everything on the outside off. You can learn to do this. You can learn to be still and at peace in the midst of chaos. But it does take practice, and it takes the understanding that you have to first get control of your thoughts, and especially on the subconscious level. As you do this and practice, then you are the master of yourself, and you need not be affected by anything on this plane. The only way that you're affected is because you've left the door open. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Bless you for asking. Are there other thoughts?
I have a question about the thoughts that I get fighting. I term that because they keep coming up, and I'm having a hard time convincing myself that I don't need to worry, that God always provides for me in all situations, There is no such thing as lack and limitation. And I keep having this fear-based conversation that keeps coming out then, and I am practicing what I've been taught from the center here about letting God's blood into it to cancel it out and not give it any power, and just reaffirm my knowingness of who I am and that I am provided for. It's always right there for me. So why does it continue to come up even though
Yeah.
I'm...
Is this an inner conversation you're
Yeah.
speaking of?
Yeah.
Yes. These are old habit patterns. You see, you place yourself in certain places and conditions whenever you have not completely cleaned house in that particular way. And as long as there is a little bitty root of fear in your subconscious, in your mind, about lack, it's going to spring up and rear its ugly head and show you that it's there. And so be grateful for this. Gratitude is a very powerful tool. And when this comes up, say, thank you, Father, for showing me that this is still there. I send your divine love into it, and I ask your light of wisdom to show me how to handle it. And continue to do this and say this and talk to God about it. If you do, then you will become calm and you will become quiet. But if you do not and you continue to reinforce this fear of lack, then lack you will have. You know this truth, but it is not always easy to practice what you know intellectually. You know it from an intellectual level, but until you know it from the heart, from the very soul of your being, then it is not with you. I would say to you to spend some time within, with God, with your teachers and guides, and ask for help. Go within and repeat some affirmations. Life is abundant. There is an affirmation that Donald can provide you with that would help in this way, that is given in the money consciousness class. And if you will continue to repeat this, and instead of letting these other repetitious things come into your mind, realize in your deepest part of yourself that you are the boss of your body and your mind. Take that dominion and use it. Use it in a positive and constructive way. No matter what the outer appearances are, the inner reality is where the substance is. Everything comes from above down or from within out, you were taught, were you not?
Yeah.
And so this is where the source is within. And this is where you work, is within. Thank you for bringing this up, for it is, some would call it a demon, but I would not call it a demon, for there are no such thing as demons except in your thinking patterns. But they haunt you from the past and even from other lifetimes. Maybe you have starved to death or something like this, and gone through experiences that bring these memories up to the surface. Know within yourself that God is your supply. God is your employer. God is the source of all your sustenance. And keep saying things like this, and keep thanking God for the bounty that He is giving you. No matter what no matter what the outer appearances are, assume the role of abundance and be grateful. Does this help your understanding?
Yeah, very much.
God bless you. Sometimes we have to entice you a little at a time to ask your questions. Feel free to speak up. Even you new people here, feel free, because we are all one. I did not mean to call you people, entities, because we're just playing the role of people. If, excuse me, you had something to say. Did someone speak up? Maybe it was your thoughts that I heard. As you integrate yourself with yourself, then you feel at one with all others. As your integrity grows and you stop condemning yourself for so-called mistakes, you feel good about yourself. You start loving yourself. But when you feel lack of material things or lack of love, companionship or whatever, you see, you're looking outward. Learn to live from within out instead of from without in. The without is illusion. It does not fulfill you. It is only when you learn to go within do you receive the fulfillment of life. For that is where your reality is. That is where God is. He is in the outer world too, for you have created this outer world, but the reality of his being is within. The outer does not feed your soul, and many overfeed their physical bodies because their soul is hungry. And you overfeed yourself in many different ways through addictions because your soul is hungry. It's hungry for the truth, hungry for the spiritual reality and the understanding of life. Are there other thoughts or questions?
Could you state your name again?
Elwa, E-L-A-W-A. It is a name that I gave when we first started the communication back in Oklahoma, and it was my last incarnation. It is an Oriental name, and it means light. I was educated, though, in England, and so had the understanding of English, and this is why I was chosen to to be the first teacher of the group. That started there.
Hello, you made a comment about karmic ties and the subconscious.
Yes.
Are we not here to work on karmic ties from the past, or are we here for some other reason?
Yes and no. In your physical understanding, you are here to work on karmic ties in the past. This is a certain level of understanding. Now, as you continue to believe in karma, then you're bound under the law of karma. So when you think you have karma with someone else, this is not correct. You have karma only with yourself. It is a misunderstanding of the eternal laws of life. And sometimes you do come back with that individual, but it does not have to be the same individual that you had some so-called problems with in the past. It can be someone like that. You see, your misunderstandings are within you, not within anyone else. And so this is where you work. You cannot change others, but you can change yourself. And when individuals come together, they attract each other for that particular reason is to bring up, for the most part, the negative things within themselves, the misunderstanding within themselves. There is called good karma and negative karma. There are times when individuals come to be together in a physical, in complete harmony, or almost complete harmony. But for the most part, individuals come together to bring these things up to the surface that they do not understand completely, or do not understand the reality, the eternal reality. And so this is why individuals become dissatisfied with each other. It is not the other that you're dissatisfied with, it is the lack of understanding within yourself that this individual brings to your notice, and you do not like it. Your subconscious does not like it. And much of the divorces are caused from running away from those things that you don't want to face at this time. Does this make sense to you?
Yes.
It is all right to rebut, because if it does not, then speak up and ask whatever you will. There is much misunderstanding. Donald is wondering about the time.
We're all right.
Okay. The tape, is it?
We're watching it.
Okay. The karmic ties are sometimes very knotty and entwined, and many who come together in a group such as this have been together before at other times. And when you, especially when you come back and continue to come to the group, it is an attraction that you have. And there are times when you just need to meet an individual for once, one time, and brush up against them to take care of a little karma. There are other times when you need to be with them over a long period of time, as you think of time, and have the experience of rising above the irritations that you receive. And this is within you. The other individual seems to cause these irritations, but in true reality, they are just the trigger that brings up something within you that needs understanding. When you can see this as it truly is, then can you make the correction within yourself, and you are free of it. And then the other individual does not irritate you, no matter what they do. Are there other thoughts or questions?
You say we can make the correction within ourselves. How do we do that?
Within yourself, through your subconscious patterns, for the most part. The power of God's love is everywhere present. And when you understand what divine love truly is, you can use it as the tool to bring light. And light is a symbol of understanding. And the subconscious is where the memory banks are. And this is where the hang-ups, as you think of them, are. And this has to be worked with. This is why Donald uses the altered state, is to reach the subconscious, to be able to make the corrections and get your subconscious to working with you instead of against you. To understand, you do not eliminate that little self of you. You bring it up in understanding with your conscious understanding. You can read many books and have the intellectual understanding, but if it is not on the subconscious level also, then it does little good, because you will still have these same negative experiences repeated and will attract individuals or negative things to you that you do not like. Does this help your understanding?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
God bless you.
The relationship has not grown, or not that it has not grown, but that there's something that you don't want to face. Are there times when a relationship is ready to end? That
Is finished, is
It
what
is
you wish to
finished.
say.
Yeah.
Yes, there are times, and it is good to go on to something else. This individual you've learned what you need to learn through the experiences with this individual, or there are times when your subconscious balks and will not go any farther, and it is maybe better to try it from a different angle. There are many, many things, because everyone is a different individual, and so you cannot have a standard answer for a question like this, because everyone is different. But you go by what you feel within. You learn to go with the inner guidance. This is your watchman within you. If it feels good, go with it. And sometimes you make a mistake, so-called, or go down the wrong road. But that's all right. You have all eternity, and you can back up and do it all over again and try something else. It is much better to go down, if you have 10 roads, it's much better to go down 9 roads and wrong roads until you get the right road, than to sit there and do nothing, because that gets you nowhere. And besides, there will be many experiences on these other roads that will teach you much. Did this help your understanding?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. There is much to learn from life, and there always will be, my dear ones. And when you can learn to love yourself, this is where you begin love, is with yourself. The master teacher said, love God with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. But you see, if you do not love yourself, how can you love your neighbor? It is a tricky thing to see the truth about this, because you're so close to yourself, and it's difficult for you to be objective, as psychologists say. You are I should say objective, because you are subjective. But when you learn to become self-aware, then can you see these things with the inner eye, with the all-seeing inner eye. There is much, much to learn, and you begin by getting conscious control of your thinking patterns. Now that we have gotten you to talk, is there anything else that you would like to say?
I had an experience, I guess in the past week, where I realized that it was possible to want to control a situation just because you thought somebody else wouldn't be getting the experience that they needed if you didn't try to control it.
Yes.
And it all boiled down to the illusion of lack.
It all boils down to none of your business, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. This is the truth. You don't have dominion over others, and you really don't know what others need. You don't know what you need for the most part. And when you try to judge others and think, now this will help them or that will help them, you don't really know what another individual's next step is in their soul's growth. The God within them knows, and the God within them will lead them if they will allow. But that is their dominion, and that is where each one of you need to work from. All we can do, and all Donald can do in his classes, is to give you guidelines. If you follow these guidelines, then you can learn to listen within yourself. You can learn to contact your higher self, that is, the God within you, and hear the truth and know the truth. It is a beautiful experience when you make that inner contact with God. It is a beautiful experience to know the truth and to understand life above and beyond the confusion of the illusion of this physical plane. Are there other thoughts?
Just a comment on not knowing what another person needs in their growth. I'm finding through the classes that I'm taking and my own growth and inner knowledge is putting a different perspective on raising my children. I really have found that I don't say no as much. I'm willing to. I'll look at something, and if it's not going to harm them in any way that I can see physically or emotionally scars them, I'm more willing to let them experience something so that they can find their own growth pattern.
Yes. Children have much more understanding than adults give them credit for, as a rule.
True.
Yes. And there will come a time when the adults will learn from the children instead of the other way around. For in this new age, you see, there will be higher entities coming in, and they will bring their memory of the divine understanding that they have, and will teach the adults instead of the adults teaching the children. This has been a beautiful time with you, my dear ones. It is a time of sharing God's love and sharing the truth of life. Take it with you in your hearts and keep the understanding that you may have gained here, and realize that all things are possible for you. Limit not yourself, and open your heart and your minds to God's love that's everywhere present. God bless each and every one of you, and good evening.
Thank you. I really need to think.
Oh. A nice visit with Ella, huh?
Dina.
You can still talk if you like. But we sometimes have more conversation at this time.
I had a question. Was it?
And you didn't ask it, did you?
It wasn't something I thought you guys think.
Speak it out.
Do the guides sometimes have differing opinions as to what perhaps is best for you?
Everyone has a different view of life. You're speaking about reading, or somebody else is giving you something, and it maybe seems to conflict with this, huh?
He was doing something else.
Huh? Come on.
No, I sometimes, when I feel like I'm most listening, sometimes get this clear guidance. I'm real peaceful with that, and then I wake up in the morning and it's like this guide's come out and redirected the whole traffic pattern, and I feel, and the peacefulness is like, okay, I'm peaceful with this, but they don't coincide. I don't see the pattern. What might end, and I feel at a conflict within myself.
And you're not very clear in your thoughts here. So what I perceive is that your inner guidance shows you something, but in the outer world it doesn't compute.
Are you in a belief of guides or angels that come in with you?
You've been talking to one.
I'm talking about those who came in with myself.
Yes.
And if she's talking about where she's got her guides. One may tell her one thing, one may tell her another.
Yeah, well, that...
The conflict.
Yeah, you're reaching lower levels sometimes. If you read this book that I mentioned, Tender Witnesses, we started out that way. And we'd get lower entities and we'd tell them, go away and let the teachers talk, and they'd spell out, go to hell or something else, And when Eloah came, though, he promised us his protection, and we didn't have that trouble. You have to listen to yourself. When you have a guide telling you this, one guide telling you this, one guide telling you that, you ask your higher self, the entity that you are, the reality of your being. Because if you get conflicting answers, then you're reaching the lower dimensions. Or it may be that you're misunderstanding. Eloah says that our language is our largest barrier to real communication. Does that make sense? Ari?
I'll read the book now, Steve, then.
Yeah.
It's like I have that information,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how to compute it down or to translate it into
Into the physical life, into your physical life.
to use it,
Yeah.
utilize the information. It's intellectualized, but it's not spiritualized, if you will.
That's the integrations that they were talking about. Integrity means really integration, and integrating your whole self. You start out in school at the first grade, and graduate from high school at the 12th grade. Well, you don't start out in the 6th grade, okay? You have to go through the different levels and different dimensions to have that understanding. And sometimes people try to start out at the 6th grade. But and I'm not saying that you did that, but this is just an example. When Eloah said, love is the key to all things, and how you gauge something that you're talking about, is it loving? And it talked about God's love, divine love. If it's loving, it's of God. If it's not, it's not. We asked him how about this, because we were having those lower entities, and we asked him how to judge the message, and he said, it's simple. If it's loving, it's of God. If it's not, it's not. And he said, your motive is your protection, which didn't make much sense for a while, but it does.
So what you're saying is you always have to examine the motive.
Examine your motives. See what your reason for doing things. That makes your direction, cause you to go in a certain direction.
Well, I was learning to ask myself the question, is this good for me?
Is it good for your spiritual being? Well, me is the little self. Is it good for the I?
Then I was used the term with that. But I always ask myself, is it that this really really,
This enhance my spirituality.
yeah, am I going to receive the right result?
Does this enhance my spirituality? That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because you always have choices in your life. You can do this to this person or that to this person, and
Or to
whatever
yourself.
result you want, is this going to be a good result or, yeah, a constructive result? Let's put it this way. I'm sorry, I didn't get into good. A constructive result.
Well,
I get into dualities real easy to.
shall we stand up on point? As we come together by holding hands in the physical, let us bring down a spiritual understanding that we received into our physical life. And let us ask for divine light to help us to interpret it in our physical life and how to use it in our physical life. Let us think of God's love going around this circle, multiplying many times, and filling this room to overflowing with divine love, spreading out over this city, covering this planet, and going out for the whole universe. To send God's love ahead of us into this week, into every thought, word, and deed, into every situation, into every encounter. Let us be at peace within ourselves and learn to love ourselves. Thank you, Father.
Every kid breaks through.
Hey, did you? A lot of kids.
Maybe he's good. Oh,
You know what? If you murder zoo or anything,
He was cracking.
my guy,
Nice.
you're good on tonight.